Okay, the next item on the agenda is, and I'll turn this over to Mr. Cap so he can explain to us what we need to do.
We were here last time and discussed Hyder Road, and the situation is the Court of Appeals has returned the case that was heard in the local chancery court to the local chancery court to include two what the Court of Appeals termed indispensable parties. One was the county, which was never made a part of the original suit. And the original suit found that the Hyder Lane Road, I forget which one it actually is, it was a county road based upon the evidence before the court. So they brought it back to us to decide if we want to agree with that determination that it is a county road, properly designated, or we disagree and it should not be a county road. And what I'm asking for you folks to do is to make a resolution to the commission that they can also decide how they want to proceed. I need to answer the suit and let the court here, it's back to this court, know what the county's position is. If we acquiesce, basically we're saying we agree with the judgment of the original court, and that is the finding that Hyder Lane is a county road. Subsequent to that, then you would have the enforcement procedures you would normally go through to open that road up. But at this point, what I'm looking for is to educate the road commission, who can then make a recommendation to the commissioners regarding our answer to the suit that's been, the amended petition that's been filed here in local chancery.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, let the record reflect that Cyril Von Trent entered the meeting at 3:02.
Okay. Well, the minutes will reflect that Cyril came a couple minutes late. Appreciate that. The people that own the property from Carter Valley in that open field there that we're talking about, what are their names? I forget now.
There's a Smith, the plaintiff in the suit was Smith asking to have a private road set aside. It was Patricia Smith, V. Sharon Berry, and the other people that live along the road there.
And they don't have road frontage to Carter Valley?
That's my understanding, yes. Based upon, and again, I've only read the court case file, but that's my understanding. And that's the reason the court decided based upon the hearing of the road commission, the key was they had an expert from Kingsport testify about dedication of roads and stuff. But the key to the whole thing was the commission did a resolution. Let me see what I can find. There's a 1959 resolution that said, be resolved by the County Court of Hawkins County, Tennessee, that is recommended by the County Superintendent of Highways, all streets and roads which have heretofore been laid out and dedicated to the public use within duly platted subdivisions located in said county shall be taken over by the County Superintendent of Highways and maintained as public roads and streets, and it acts as expeditiously as the highway superintendent is able to commence the working or maintenance of said roads and streets. And Hyder Lane was one of those on that. So that, I think, was the biggest piece of evidence that the reason the court found it was a public road.
So Hyder Road actually is a county road then, by what you're saying?
It's on our county list of roads. It just becomes a question of how far it goes back. It goes back approximately halfway, I think, now, and then it's blocked.
Okay.
And it's never been developed past that. But it was platted and accepted as a county road, my understanding is the entire way back.
As it stands right now, and I looked at it, and they do have it blocked. And looks like it probably would be at least another 300-400 feet back to their property line. I know the people that own the part you're talking about, that's got the open field there.
Mhm.
That was Bob Gilreath's farm. It was divided. And into tracts, and one sold out to one of the others. But
Mr. Chair, for point of clarification, Mr. Cap, can you give us, and I wasn't here at the last meeting, you may have already done this, can you give me a brief summary of the petition and what injury the plaintiff is claiming and what kind of relief they're seeking?
The plaintiffs, again, they're represented by Mr. Isa, Kingsport, and the Berries, the defendants were represented by Mr. Boyd here in Rogersville. And they were asking for the road to be opened up or a private road to be granted. And they used the basis that it had been a platted road and accepted by the county. And if that's the case, then she has a right to use that to access her property back.
So the folks that have had a road blocked off for that last 300 to 400 feet have put a gate up, I'm assuming?
No, it's basically, it was originally, my understanding was some kind of structure called a garage, and since then it's basically grown up with trees and everything. It's been years, many years since that's been opened up. And that was part of the questions involved here, you know, if you did disuse a right of way in a private road or something, it can return back to the landowners. The statute that Mr. Jones was referring to at our last meeting regarding that type of thing with reversionary interest does not apply to a public dedicated road.
they've got at least two or three vehicles parked right where you.
So there's a property owner that is asking for an access via that roadway that they're not being given access to, and the appeals court says that that area should be a county road and that we need a resolution defining it as such. Is that correct?
Not exactly. The trial court decided it was a public road. It was appealed to the Tennessee Court of Appeals. They said, you got to come back, send it back to the trial court, which is this back here, to include the two, what they said were indispensable parties. That's the county and the heirs. There is a scenario that if it wasn't a county road and it had never been dedicated to anybody, all the heirs of, I forget who the original owners were here, the heirs of the original developers of that subdivision would have that little strip still in their name. So Mr. East's job is to find who those heirs are and made them parties to the suit. So again, anybody that has an interested party is required to have notice of this request to open the road up. I can show you a map that kind of lays out. We had some maps we used for the county meeting.
Do you happen to have the summary of the petition with you too? Do you
I have the court and I have the amended complaint.
I just want to clarify that.
Here's the Court of Appeals case, which does the synopsis of the local court case.
I had that information from last week, and
I apologize for not being here last time.
actually forgot to bring it. But one question I have, is, Danny, after the road's been closed for so long, such as this one, does it revert back to the property owner?
Just on private, not on public, correct?
Yes. The statute that was cited is statute 5414-117, and it's titled Tennessee Code Annotated, Title 54 Highways, Bridges, and Ferries, Chapter 14 Private Roads. And that's where it talks about when an easement or a right-of-way that's no longer used can be lost and go back to the original landowners. But it's for private roads. It does not have any applicability to the situation we're talking to, 100 Lane.
We'll give Jason a minute to read over that.
pages, I wrote, the highlight pages I read were 7, 9, 10, and 11, Mr. Roach.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things it says at the bottom of page 9, the purpose of the remand is where the Appeal Court of Appeals sent it back to the trial court, is not for a trial de novo, they're not going to hear the case over again, but for the purpose to join the absent third parties and give them an opportunity to present new evidence as deemed necessary by the trial court. And so that's what we're here for, is for you to make recommendations to the commission, whether you agree with them, in which case we do not need to present any new evidence, or if we believe it is not a public road and we have evidence to show that, we have an opportunity to present that to the trial court.
So if the current landowners, which seems to be the Berries, is that correct?
They own the lots on one side of the road, and they're the ones that I believe have erected the garage or whatever it is that was on the public.
Okay, so they were the ones that owned the garage on the property? Or they want, Priscilla Smith was the one that wanted access and the Berries?
Yes.
Okay. So if, for how many years have they had the garage on that property, and have they exercised landowner rights to that property? I mean, I guess as if they did own it. I mean, they had a...
I don't know how many years, it's been many, since we talked, it was erected back in the 60s. But I don't think that has any bearing. You can't adversely possess a public road. And that's what you're talking about with, 20 years adverse possession, that type of thing, either with or without a color or title. But this is not a situation that we're dealing with here.
So what you're saying is that it seems as if that property, by nature of, the appeals court is saying, by nature of the resolution from 1959, that property would be a public road from where the garage sat or is sitting. I guess it's not there anymore. Beyond that area, that based on that resolution,
yes,
it would be a public road.
Because we go off the plat that shows the road going all the way back to in this case, Mrs. Smith's property. If that road had only been shown on this plat of their subdivision, it's only going halfway or something, then that would be different. That's not the case in this situation.
So the plat is showing the road going beyond. The resolution from 1959 says that it should be a public road. So therefore, it leads me to believe that the commission should recommend that it's a public road.
That's only been found by the trial court. If we don't want that as the county, then we have to present evidence to show why the trial court made a mistake and present that to the trial court and get them to change their conclusions or findings.
So what's the argument against, I mean, what's the best argument that we have against claiming that that is a public road?
I don't find any really valid arguments other than the common sense. You just think, well, if you haven't used it 30 years or 40 years or 50 years, it should belong to somebody.
Which is the point of reversionary interest, correct?
Hmm?
Which is the point of reversionary interest.
Yes, it's a point,
But reversionary interest doesn't apply to public
but
roads.
it's a point that was all brought up in the trial court and discarded because it doesn't have it's not applicable to this particular fact situation.
So the only argument that we would have to not recommend that that's a public road is already been found moot by the appeals court.
You could cite, I guess, do some research and see if you can find anything out there that shows, the non-use of the public road. I have seen a case where the public road went this way, or went around like this, okay, and they built a new public road shortcut, okay, and eventually this was given up for that. But I never found anything where you've got a straight shot, it's on the plat, it shows it goes, it's accepted by the county, give our resolution. The highway department is maintaining all that has any residences on it. The other ones, from there back, have no residence. Do they? I don't think I've seen them. I've got pictures, so they're on the residence, but I've never seen anything that would let me to believe we would be successful and claim it was not a county road.
Does Ms. Smith have any other access to that property via any other public roadway?
I don't know. I don't think so, based on what I see here. And this was the Clemens property when I was just reading that. And at that part back there, Danny, is there any other access to any other roads? I'm not aware of it.
No.
Yeah, I've only read the case.
So her property, unless she gets a right of way through that area, is inaccessible by.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Did you find a resolution where that road was made a county road?
That's the one we're talking about, it was done in
You did find a
1959.
resolution.
It was a resolution adopting all roads that were on a recorded plat as of that date as county roads.
And what date was that, 59?
59. This was done, apparently, this plat was done before that. This Hyder Road was, I don't have.
The Hyders were the first people to have a house over there. They were the only house there for a long time.
There is a driveway that goes over to a house. There's a Kegley lives there, Jeff, I believe, his first name, goes over to, you remember Bob Gilreath? Bob lived in that house, and Jeff Kegley married his grandmother, they live in that house now. That's the only problem, that's the only right way they're not getting. It's going out, it's there across from Oakdale Church.
Yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the access they got right now, is using his driveway to get to this property where that's in question. And this other road, Hyder Road, leads off Amos, Stony Point
Stony
Road.
Point, yeah, I know that, everybody lives on it.
This
section
section, sorry.
near their property line is what they got blocked off.
I've been over there.
And this particular parcel, I've got a tax map here of it, does not have any other access except Hyder Lane. Now, I seem to recall that this parcel that's now showing that Mrs. Smith owns originally was part of a bigger parcel that did have perhaps access to Carter's Valley. But that wouldn't stop the development of this parcel, because I'm sure they looked at Hyder Road and see she had the frontage required in Hyder Road. They would like to see this, I'd be glad to.
So the register of deeds certainly wouldn't have approved a split of that deed if there wasn't
It would have
process.
been the planning commission.
The planning commission.
Yeah. But that kind of shows what it is. As far as according to that, there may be, like you said, a private tractor road or something down off of Carter Valley, but there is no access legally, it appears.
So in the event that we create a resolution and we say this is in fact based on a resolution from 1959, a county road, is it then Mr. Jones's responsibility to develop that access?
Yes, it would be our responsibility to open it up. They have develop it. No, I'm not sure you could be required to pave it. Well, the other where it's barely paved is like a cold chip on it or something. But he would have a responsibility to be brought to task for allowing preparing it so you could have public access, because it would be a public road.
Mr. Jones?
Which pretty much is a matter of bulldozing, I think. It's a straight shot, level ground, and I've got some pictures of what it's been grown up, but
Do you have any thoughts or anything about that situation?
According to all the paperwork, it was a county road and it was abandoned and it's still a county road. And people just started using it as their own, built garages, and now, good Lord above has took it over with bushes and weeds and rabbit trails, so just needs to be opened back up.
Do you know how much, what length that is, that Hyder Road is? And,
No, not right off.
I mean, we need, and they're not always accurate, you know, it can be,
Seemed like it's 2/10 from Stony Point.
I mean, they're close, but you know, I mean, they're not always down to the foot, I mean.
But about half of the access is developed.
I went out there the day we had our last meeting, and if there's a building there from where they've got their automobile parked, it's a little off to the side, but there's so many bushes and trees, you couldn't really see.
you can't hardly see any structure. I couldn't see the structure. I was out earlier.
I couldn't even.
It's described in the record of the court hearings as being rather quickly put together type structure, nothing substantial about it. I can't say that personally, it's just the way it was described in the record.
Well, Danny says it's on the county road list, and I guess we need a recommendation from you, I guess, more than anything. I mean, you got the paperwork, you know what's happened before and what we can do.
It's already been found in an extensive hearing to be a county road. Whether we wanted it or not, that was the finding. Court of Appeals is bringing it back to us and say, hey, you got your chance to put your 6 cents in on that. But I don't see what we could have grounds to successfully overturn it, and that also involve the county in another suit. So my recommendation is that based upon the court record, that, and from what we are able to ascertain from the record, that it is a county road. It's not been used, part of it's not been used, but it's still a county road. And I would recommend that you recommend to the commission that they instruct me to answer the suit, the amended complaint that's been filed, and acquiesce to their finding that it is a county road.
So it says in item number 11 on page 7 that county taxes have been paid on the building that was constructed there.
It was for a while, then it was taken off apparently, went back and forth.
So if we call that, okay, so it seems as if our own resolutions and Tennessee Code Annotated indicate that we need to adopt the remainder of Hyder Road as a county public access. If we do that, what grounds does the property owner have to come back and recoup whatever taxes they paid on it?
Well, I don't remember the details, but the taxes were only paid for a few years and then it was stopped, I think. Can you read further?
Okay. I mean, even though it was $20, I mean, could they still come back and say, well, that was a county road and we built that, and you all charged us?
I can't imagine the financial logic of bringing a suit that would cost several $1,000s to recoup.
And they used the building as long as it was usable, right? I mean, they used that garage.
As far as we know.
Time, and it's not usable.
Yeah, I'm not talking to any of the parties, obviously I can't because they're represented by attorneys, but if you go out that way and look at it, I don't see any access. Did you see any access to the garage on that thing?
No.
Annie, do you see any access? If there was a garage there, it's covered up with trees and stuff, they're not using it, at least now. And I would encourage you all to go out and
And
look at it.
two, if they built that garage and it was on this right of way in question, then, and even if they were paying taxes on it, that's their problem. They built it on
It's true.
county property.
Kind of playing the devil's advocate a little bit though, if we saw that they built a structure and we said, well, you built a structure on what you believe is your private property, so therefore we're going to charge tax on that structure. I don't think that Tennessee Code Annotated would support that we can say, well, you built the structure in the middle of a road, because that's essentially what happened. So we're going to charge you property tax, therefore it's now your private property. I don't know that that's the case, but it seems as if.
I don't think what you have here is any building permit that allowed the county to build that. If you go out and build a structure in the middle of the highway and no one finds it, I mean, you know, I mean, that's, so I'm sure not any approval by the county of him building there.
So the property assessor would have known that it's a county road that they built the garage in the middle of.
He should, he's on notice, he bought a lot next to it. His deed says I'm sure his deed says on Hyder Lane.
So the property assessor should have known that that the structure was built in the middle of the property? Or
Oh, no, the property assessor, I think meant the property owner. I'm
No,
sorry.
property assessor. So when they go out to assess and say you built another building, we're adding on to your tax, they would not have known, or should they have known, that it was a public access and reported that to the highway department?
Let me see if I can find the wording on it, I don't recall just exactly here on. They did, my recollection, they did discuss the payment of taxes. It was put on the rolls, was taken off the rolls, which was found to be public.
I guess what I'm asking is, it seems clear cut that we need to say this is a public access based on county resolution from 1959 and based on the fact that there's no reversionary right to county public road land. I think we need to. I guess what I'm getting at is, how many other of these situations are we going to have to rectify in the future if we have a dispute over an access and a possible public road that was installed via subdivision being built and so on? I mean, I guess I'm looking ahead. I know what we need to do in this case, it seems, but kind of, does it open Pandora's box a little bit?
Well,
No, it's already been opened. I mean, this is a suit that can be researched by any lawyer in town in the state if it's going to bring a suit regarding public right-of-ways and stuff. I mean, the thing that says that once a road becomes irrevocably dedicated to the public, it cannot be lost or forfeited by mere non-use or by the public and is not subject to adverse possession. That's
So we could have, I mean, there could be other situations in the county that may pop up.
okay. This Mr. Pearson clarified that Barry paid taxes in the garage itself, not the land, from 2011 and 2020. Explained that after that, the garage itself was taken off. So he's never taxed on the land. It was taxed on apparently on, that's on top of page 5.
And you're right, Jason, that possibly could pop up in other areas of the county, but at that given time, it may or may not, but at that given time, we'd have to deal with it like we did this.
I agree. So, Mr. Jones, are you aware of any other situations that we may have?
I wonder why this one.
I guess, we need to move in a second to, go forward with what our attorney has recommended.
And that would be for the road commission to make a recommendation to the full commission that our answer to the suit would be that we agree that it's a county road.
Give Sarah time to write that down there.
Then who would get that resolution? Now, who would we get that resolution to after it passes?
I would just to you, just give it to me. So I've got authority to answer on behalf of the county. This is a legal process. Just the resolution would be that we authorize the county attorney to answer the suit, the amended suit. I can help you with the resolution writing, but basically.
Yeah, I'm gonna need help on that.
Okay. But that's what the resolution is doing to state the county's position.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, I know I'm asking a lot of questions. Does that road affect any other property owners besides those that are involved in the suit?
You know, I can't tell, but I think it may, but it's very difficult to look on the plats, all right? There may be some other joining minerals out further that way, but I'm not done any research that way. And like you said, there's obviously other parcels, according to the original plat, along the Hyder Lane past where it stops now. Whether they're owned by one person or however it's owned, I don't know.
May I ask a question? Is it Hyder Lane or Hyder Road? It's been called both.
Well, it's not a right of way. Right of way is generally something that you grant somebody else to go over to your property. This is a dedication of a public road, and it's also something called a right of way, but it's not what we normally think of as a right of way. When you give somebody the right to go across your land to access their land. This is a public dedication.
The way that it's listed on
Hyder Lane or Hyder Road?
The comptroller side has it as Hyder Lane.
It's Hyder Lane.
Lane.
Because we
Yeah,
called it
sorry.
both. Okay.
It's Hyder Lane. Our nifty researcher back here looked it up.
Thank you, Patrick.
Any other questions from anybody? Do I hear a motion that we proceed with this?
According to the evidence that I've heard, I'm gonna make a motion that we consider it a county road. Right?
I mean, that's
She
what they.
preparing a resolution?
That's what.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the form of motion.
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second? Wait a minute, for Jason, do a little more research.
And Jason may not be the second, somebody else may want to do
I
that.
know, but I'm giving you time.
Sorry, thank you.
I have a motion on the floor to proceed and declare that that is Hyder Lane. And it has been since 1959. I have that motion. Do I hear a second?
Who's the commissioner that represents this district?
That would be, probably Josh.
So it'd be fourth district?
Yeah.
So that would be Chad Britton that's on this committee, but he's not here today.
Yeah.
That's not your district.
No, mine comes down Carter's Valley to Mooney Gap. And it's part down to Big Cummins.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
I do have a motion and a second. We will need four votes in favor. Yes, sir, would you do a roll call?
Sybil Von Trent,
Abstain.
Charlie Thacker,
Yes.
Jason Roach,
Yes.
Larry Clontz,
Yes.
and Bobby Jinks.
I'll abstain.
Motion fails. 3 yes, 2 abstain.
I will tell you why I abstained. I have had a personal issue like this before that took 20 years to resolve. And the road list has been proven wrong. So, there are times I don't have a lot of confidence in the road list and how it was established. And Miss Hyder is still living. She's a younger woman than me, but her family's the one that built the first house over there. And she would be available to give any information that she might have regarding this, which might be critical, I don't know. But she lives in Gray, and her name would be Mrs. Betty Hyder Gray. She married Billy Gray. So Mrs. Betty Hyder Gray. And I do not believe, now, my memory could be wrong about this. I do not believe that they lived there in 59. They built a house. They had lived on down Carter's Valley and managed a farm, and then when they retired, they moved up there and built a house, and they were the only people on that road at that time. And I know Miss Morlock that has the first house there, and I also know the Berries. So,
Mr. Chairman?
yes, sir.
I happen to notice on this plat, which is part of the subdivision, it says it refers to a public right-of-way as per the J.E. Clemens subdivision plat recorded May 12, 1959, plat cabinet 1, envelope 200 feet. So the date we're talking about that's effective would be the date of the plat, not of any
Right,
construction.
yes, I understand that.
So, since the motion's failed, Mr. Cap, how does that open up the county to liability now?
At some point, we are going to be called to account to answer the complaint. If we do nothing, then they'll just rule against us. Okay, they'll let us stand. Okay. The interested party has been given notice. They've been given us the opportunity to, as they say, it's not for a remand, it's for the opportunity to provide any new information. What I was hoping to do was to be able to say that, get the counties done with the court case, because there's a possibility this will go back up again, all right? But if we do nothing, the court will eventually, and the holdup is, I'm sure that they can find all the Clemens errors and contact them in case you had the scenario where it was not a county road, it was private road. But basically what I'm asking for is the authority to answer the amended complaint, which names us as a party. If we do nothing, eventually the court will, I would assume, uphold the ruling because they got no new evidence to the contrary.
Well, I had a cousin who lived at the end of that road. I'm not sure he lived in the White House or next to the West House. And I'm not sure he built the garage. But it doesn't matter to me.
But he doesn't own it now. He doesn't own it now.
I don't think, now I don't know where he built the garage. That was never brought into question, until now, so, well, I really don't know. Any other questions that we need to answer? Okay, that motion failed. 3-2. I had one other. We got, Armstrong property, I have one I need to ask you, Alan, before we leave, on down the road. Number 5, Armstrong property road removal procedures. And that is the old road that's going into Fifth Bend, about 200 feet southwest of where the entrance is now, goes into Fifth Bend. That was the old road, when they built a new road into Fifth Bend. That's never been taken off the list. We need to, and Armstrong's owned all the property there. So they want that reverted back to them, the old road bed. It's not usable, it's been shut down.
I just came aware of this today, so I can't talk about the details. But we first need to go back and look at the deed when the Industrial Development Board bought this property, and what the status of that road was at that time. Was it at that time a public road, or was it at that time just a private drive back to the Armstrong property? That would make the difference, perhaps. And then if there's been any kind of dedication, if the Industrial Development Board is a separate entity from the county, dedicated the road back to the county, then they will deal with the county road. But it's certainly possible we're not dealing with the county road at all, but a private road. Have we ever done any maintenance down in that area?
No, it's growing out in bushes and trees and everything now.
Okay, well, again, I understand there's more than one road that may be in that area that you're talking about, so we're gonna have to go back and do some deed research to find out what the status of that road, what kind of entity it was. Was it
One of those roads is used as an emergency exit from Fifth Bend. And what the question is, when we get new industries in there and the traffic increases considerably, we may have to use that road. I don't think either one of those two roads that are involved in this discussion have ever been named. I think that we're just there. That was you.
Yeah, it's showing it on the property deeds with the state showing that there's a roadbed there, not actual roadbed, but it's outlined for a road. But we would like to discuss it more with the industrial board before y'all give it up, because like I said, we've had some industry voice concerns with us that there's only one entrance and exit, and they're afraid if we get this bigger plant that we've been trying to recruit the traffic will increase so much that it'll start causing a lot of bottlenecks. So we need to look at options of maybe getting people in and out of that area quicker without creating, a hazard that are there now on full.
I don't think this one were, if it's the same one I'm thinking, comes off old 11W. Or Main Street now they call it. It's only 300 or 400 feet long in it, and it goes back and goes into the new road that's in there now. It's only about 300 or 400 feet.
I was taken out to get a straight shot to get the reactor in there.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
The big question would be, what's the status of the road that's shown? It's shown a road, but was it public, was it private? If it was private, certainly, then when the IDB bought it, they acquired it. And if there's been no transfer from IDB to somebody else, it's theirs. Now, if it was a public road when they bought it, and then maybe a question of us, whether the county is going to abandon it or not, formally abandon it. But until we find out the nature of that, whatever road we have, by going back and looking at the original deeds, it's impossible to address what we need to do.
My understanding was TVA may have originally bought it as part of the reactor when they was going to build the nuclear plant there. So again, if it goes with that property, then like you said, the IDB may.
Well, I assume ITV bought it from TVA, right?
Possibly, if it is all included as part of that sale.
Okay, well-
Yeah, so that's what we got to find out.
That's the kind of deep research we need before we can make any kind of decision.
that road was used originally when Phil's bin Aladdin's Plastic went in 61 or 62. They used that road. But later, when we developed Phil's Bin Industrial Park, they put it where it's at now. Is that right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. But you're saying we need to do some more research?
Very definitely, yes.
Well, we can put this one on hold if that's okay with the committee. And let you do some research and see what develops.
Let's find out.
Okay, we got, I have two more, and some of you may have one. One I have is F, and I'll draw it out a little bit. And then you can see this. This is the new road here. The road did run like this. But they came through this. This property belongs over here with this property. Now, when they come through and build a new road through property, who gets this old road bed?
Again, it depends if it's private or public. If it's private, then it goes back to whoever the original people were. If it's public, like sometimes you do the streets of subdivisions, it's a dead-end street, they're going to give it back. It will go to split up between adjoining landowners, on a per letter basis, depending upon the frontage.
Well, I was assuming since they came through this property to build a new road,
When you say that,
and
who's that?
take your property to build a new road, I was assuming, that's just me, that this old road bed would revert to this property.
That's very possible. I wouldn't say that, I don't know the details, but yeah, that would be typically, when you say they build a road. County, developer, an individual, private road, public road, which one?
Who built the road?
You what?
Who built the road?
The county did. Well, I'll tell you, it was in the mid-70s, 73, 74. Merle Carter was road superintendent at the time. But he went through and straightened that curve out. And there's about a half an acre that's in this corner here where they bypassed the big S curve. And they made the road straight. And this old road bed just laying there. Nobody's using it.
And it's possible it may be true, like I just mentioned, there are some cases talk about if the public right of way went crooked and then they straightened it out and no longer used, they abandoned, then you can have an abandonment of that piece. Also, like you said, it's dependent on the deed research to see where it was.
Well, it would appear to me that if you took property from someone to build a new road and abandoned the old road, that old road, and it joining the properties that person had, the old road should revert back to the one they took the property or built the road through.
I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just saying I don't know enough to agree with you.
Well, I mean, it's just a question, you know, I needed an answer to it.
What is the name of the road, Mr. Thacker?
It would be, Candy Valley Loop.
Candy Valley Loop.
Yeah. We have one other here, for sure. Does anybody have any questions on any of the others up through here that we have discussed? Let it record show, Sarah, that Chad came in at 3:45.
Okay.
Mr. Britton, we discussed the road on Hyder Lane off Stony Point. And it was 3-2, two abstained, so that did not pass.
Let me ask a question. I had a lady call me on the Phillips Bend property, and the way I understood her, she was talking about a connection about halfway down the property that connected onto River Road. Is there a connection there now
To the river,
to the River Road? The wonderful River Road.
well, which river road you talking about?
One that goes up toward Phillips Bend.
I think where he's talking about, if you turn across from the old Dock Lines farm and go under the underpass, all the way to that end,
Yeah.
where they closed it off,
John Adberg, yeah.
out of Works Place.
John Adberg's place, yeah. I don't know, Larry, I know that they have access down to the river because if you go all the way down in the Fifth Bend and come around you know where you all shoot back there. So that's right near the river there, isn't it? So we do have access down to there.
I think they did have a gate across, and it was only used for emergency purposes if they had to evacuate the industrial park for some reason or another.
That's correct.
You said that's true?
That it was only used for an emergency exit there.
So who's got a key to unlock the gate if it's
It's a
locked?
code.
Pardon?
It's a code.
Okay.
Do we need to go back and reconsider number 4? And Chad has come in, I mean, it's up to you all. I mean, we've already voted.
I would say probably not, because even if Chad would have voted,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how.
You'd have to get somebody that was anti that motion to bring it back up.
that's correct.
Yeah, one of the two that.
One of the two that abstained.
Yeah.